I don't even feel the need to like IMDb this shit because I feel like I know everything I need to know for this movie. But I still probably should pull up the IMDb because I can't tell you off the top of my head who played Jessica, and that makes me a little sad.
Rebecca Ferguson.
She's amazing.
She is.
I loved her. Oh my gosh, so good. What else is she in? She's in Mission Impossible. I know she's in a lot. She's been around for a while.
She is in Mission Impossible. I'm trying to think of what else she was in. She was in a pretty well-known show on Netflix, I think.
That could be many shows.
I know, but I really do think it was on Netflix.
She was in Greatest Showman. I've never actually seen Greatest Showman, but I know you've told me I am sleeping on that one.
You are, but I don't remember her in it.
Dr. Sleep? Was she the bad bitch in Dr. Sleep?
I've never seen Dr. Sleep.
No? I thought we saw it together.
I never watched Dr. Sleep.
Let's just say she was perfectly cast here because she's Jessica, and I don't see anyone else having done this character like to that level of just intensity. Like I think she's perfect.
Oh no, yeah, I think so too. And then it's cool to like going from Dune 1 and then Dune 2, like watching them like so close together. You see the range in her performance as Jessica because like it starts off as a normal typical like concerning mother would with this this power that is going to be thrust upon her son. She displays all the normal stuff that a concerned parent would for someone in her position. And then by the time you end in the second one, she's like full on face paint, just like, do it. Just in the corner, just like evil, just full on Palpatine and energy. And I love it.
It's so good. She goes freaking crazy. And I for some reason this time around, it kind of hit me like, and I guess this is the first time I've seen this movie since reading the book. So
that's true. You have read the
some
book
things
since.
for me. But I just really felt the weight of like her role in this story, especially when she had to drink the worm piss and go through all this shit and basically take on like thousands of years of trauma. And it's just like, wow,
all at once
for the rest of her life. This is it. Like she just bites into that shit, and it's like, wow.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
She's really, really good.
It's
and
crazy.
Definitely one of the most memorable performances of the year. But who probably won't get nominated, I don't think, though.
Yeah, it's right. Dune was not really shooting for Oscars. It's still going to get nominated for Best Picture. Like,
it should.
No doubt.
Best
I
Director.
think it's going to.
It should.
Director, yeah.
Cinematography.
But I would not be surprised if she didn't get a nom just because it's the
probably
Oscars.
Not.
No. But I would really want to see Javier Bardem in the supporting.
I do too. The only thing is I like because none of the Lord of the Rings guys got nominated as well.
No? Not even for Return of the King?
Gandalf, Ian McKellen might have gotten nominated once.
Okay.
I think, and for one of the movies, but no, because it's such a big ensemble, and I think that's how the Academy would view Dune. Like it's just such a. But even though
there should be an ensemble cast Oscar.
I think honestly. Golden Globes has one.
I think they do.
I think they have an ensemble cast. I could be wrong. I mean,
Golden
I know
Globes is just like the.
I was gonna say like no one really gives a shit about what the Golden Globes have. They're kind of just like a party for the celebrities to go wild in that night, and that's
all
cool.
the celebrities with daddy issues. Like when they win the Golden Globe and not an Oscar, they go home and the dad's like. It's not an Oscar,
it's not an Oscar.
And it's true. It's not an Oscar.
It's like you come back when it's.
I'm sorry. Remember when Leo won the Golden, but not the Oscar? Wasn't it Wolf of Wall Street that he took home the Golden Globe?
I think so because I know he didn't win for Wolf of Wall Street. And
there was a year where he didn't win the Oscar. I mean, there's like so many years where he was, in the running, might win, and then takes the L, but he like won the Golden Globe, and it's just like you see the resentment in his eyes.
Oh, you just say
it home.
Just looks like he's just giving the eyes. No, yeah, you can tell. But I mean, he won, and what's crazy is that he won for The Revenant. He's great in The Revenant. I don't even think
it's a hard movie to watch,
and I don't think it's his best. Like I think it's.
He did the Oscar thing, and he went through hell. They just want you to hurt yourself for the Oscar.
It's like, wait, you really didn't watch no Shia LaBeouf, man, fucking on camera and taking acid on camera. Where's his Oscar? Where's his Oscar, man?
I don't think that's what they're looking for, Jay.
No, probably not. No,
but yeah, I'm not sure if we're gonna see any performance knobs for this movie. But if we do, Javier deserves it.
I would, yeah.
I think because he really just is from Arrakis. Like
he completely embodies the Furman life. Man.
I think that's actually where he was in a past life or somewhere down the timeline in this universe. I think that's the life he lives because he brings that to life in such a genuine way that I don't think any other cast member even can. Like he's so fucking good, man.
He is.
Holy shit.
He's so
Javier
naturally
Bardem.
just so good. I mean, when does he not deliver?
I know.
He's always good. I'm always seeing, like, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I'm always seeing clips of his performance in No Country for Old Men.
I was gonna say I don't know how many people even connected the dot that's the same actor between those movies. Because you wouldn't even know. And the funny thing is you got also Josh Brolin also.
Yes, you
right
do.
there.
And I didn't even think about that until
Gurney.
just now.
Yeah.
Gurney. All they were missing was Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
That's it. Although.
Man, we got a lot to talk about with this movie, but one little critique I want to start off with, because we're about to rave so hard about these movies.
For sure.
We fucking love these movies.
Absolutely love them. Like I completely, especially watching them so close together. I completely acknowledge, and you want to sprinkle in Dune Prophecy. I get how they're not for everybody. I get it. I get it. It's not, while being big blockbuster spectacles, I also think they're more Shakespearean in the dialogue and the way they talk, and it's just way more heavy than normal action movie like this. So,
but I still think that it's consumable.
I know for sure.
Good job making this movie a blockbuster,
consumable for a lot of people.
Right.
Oh yeah, I can just see some of the heavy Dune, because I don't think that, like we said, during the movie, I don't think it holds your hand. So if you're not down with the lore and just the way of Dune, just the world, I don't think I can see you having a hard time connecting to the story and the characters and what's going on. But I think
I would agree on that for Prophecy for sure. For sure. I think I know we're gonna dip into both Prophecy and Dune 1 and 2, just basically all things Dune. We're just talking about today.
If you have watched us before, we've been I don't know, teasing sounds kind of we're a big Dune episode, but we've been wanting to talk about Dune for a while.
Yeah,
we've mentioned it multiple times that we're gonna do a whole Dune episode. So this is that episode.
We're here.
We're so talking about Dune, and this is my Monsters Almost Empty. But
already, GG's.
Hey, I needed to.
Yeah,
I needed it.
Yeah, we just finished watching this movie. Right,
we did, and
before starting this, I watched an hour and 15 minutes of
Dune
Prophecy. So it's been a day of the Dune, and it is late.
A day in Iraq. You spent the entire day in Arrakis, bro. How are you feeling?
I'm a little tired, and but I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling ready to throw down with Paul and Fade Ratha.
Talking.
And
I want to start quoting some of the stuff in Furman, but I'm gonna butcher it. I can't. I'm gonna eventually memorize his speech in the War Council room, though.
So I know I kind of was saying something earlier. I just want to return to that because we have a lot to gush about for this movie for sure. But the one critique I have, if I have to search this movie for something that I don't think was definitely a little bit less than movie magic, was the way Gurney shows back up into the world. What are the chances, that Paul just happens to be the guy
to find him and not some other regular Fremen
before he gets his throat slit by any one of these other Fremen, I was like, okay, that's a little something. But it's a movie, it's a movie. At the end of the day, it's a movie. But then later in the council, the same sort of thing happens when Chani is talking shit and she's about to leave, and then Gurney just happens to be the one sitting right there when she's yelling having to burst out.
Is that why you said Gurney just be in the right place at the right time?
Gurney is in the right motherfucking place at the right time, dude. Yeah. And that's the obviously most nitpicky thing I could get from this movie for a critique. Because other than that, it's just so hype and so many good things.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that though, especially especially the first time. Because if literally any other Furman, anybody else, even Chani, he's dead. Yeah. Chani has no idea who Gurney is. So
I know we want to touch a little bit on Dune Prophecy before talking about the trilogy. Kind of go in order here. Now Prophecy has had less than hype reviews, just about everywhere.
Yeah,
including from you. I think you kind of seemed like a bit cool, on like the 6-ish.
Yeah, I'm like at a 6 right now, but I'm only 2 I haven't seen the third episode. Third episode's out, so I'm not completely caught up. But yeah, man, the first 2 episodes are, and I was like ready. Like I knew we were gonna talk about Dune soon. Like I knew we were gonna rewatch it soon, and it's like what I said earlier. Like it's like they're telling me about their plan, and they're telling me about this interesting like plan that they're not called the Bene Gesserit yet, but they will
sisterhood.
The sisterhood at the time. But like nothing is really unfolding about it. They're just like whispering about it in the corners, and I'm ready, and nothing's really gripping me enough to like I need something to happen soon.
It's all talk, no walk.
It's all talk, no walk. But that would be fine if I had anything to latch on to. There's just no character or anything right now.
Yeah.
That Desmond, I would say, is the closest. Desmond and the Emperor, Mark Strong's character.
Yeah.
And the Atreus, I will say the Atreides character. I forget his first name, but the swordsman. Okay. You met him in the first episode, right? I think you do.
Yes, I think so.
He seems like he could have potential. I'm really just in a wait and see mode with Dune Prophecy. Like I'm not thumbs up or thumbs down. I'm just like, hasn't hooked me yet. I'm gonna keep watching it. I'm gonna keep in there, and hopefully something gets me. But hasn't been all negatives.
I've definitely had time to watch that one episode today. Obviously, I did so just so we can briefly touch on it. And part of me wanting to dive back into the movies was to talk about the show because I was really excited for it. And I had low expectations going into the first episode from what you've told me and just general reviews.
And I did not know the reviews like that were like that when I watched it. I had no idea.
I mean, there are some really negative reviews, but I feel like it's mostly lukewarm from the general.
Okay.
But I liked the first episode. I had a great time. I thought that the score was awesome. Oh, yeah. Sounded great. The production was pretty good. And I was down for basically all the actors. There's not an actor that I can pinpoint besides that little kid. I just didn't like that little kid's face, man.
So no spoilers for Dune Prophecy, right?
No.
Okay, never mind.
No.
I was about to say a joke regarding that character. But no, fuck him. I agree.
The sisterhood or Bene Gesserits, I mean, let's just call them what it is, right?
The pre-Bene Gesserit.
I think that shit is so cool. I love how they're like the truth sayers and they're just the real freaking masters, right? They're like in Game of Thrones.
They're the real.
What is it? The little finger or the
spiders in the background.
The spider. They're all like Varys.
They are, man.
Like it's a whole network of Varyses, but they're all old.
And I think Desmond has like a quote in the first.
They're not all old women, but no. Some of them are very attractive.
Some of them are very attractive.
And most of the princesses are also the Bene Gesserit. And by the movies, all right, obviously, they're like deep in that shit. Right?
Oh, yeah.
They're deep in control. And that's something I did enjoy about the first episode to latch onto. I think the first movie actually did a pretty good job of connecting to the movies because Vela Harkonnen, right, the main character, and that plan, like you said, she kept saying the same shit over and over, and I agree with you. It's like the only talking points she had. But that plan that she was laying out is exactly what's happening in the movies. Like their plan has succeeded.
No, it's true.
She wins. Like spoiler, Vela wins.
Well, I mean, you knew because it becomes the Bene Gesserit. So as soon as you start this episode and realize like it takes place that early on in the sisterhood, you're like, oh, okay, well they're definitely gonna end up winning.
And I think that all I think like the Dune story as a whole, it's not Star Wars, it's not Lord of the Rings, there's not good and evil. It's just like everyone's kind of a bad bitch.
It's just this world sucks ass.
It's a brutal.
It's a brutal world.
It's a brutal, beautiful world with a great soundtrack. I mean, if the movie did not have the soundtrack, it would be a lot bleaker. Like watching this movie, no music. Imagine.
Oh,
it'd be a horror.
It would be a straight horror movie.
Yeah,
well, horror suspense. I know, and it's crazy is that like not to jump to the movies, but they like in the first movie. They killed the most good-hearted people, like off rip. Like they die.
Leto
and Duncan, man.
Duncan.
Like both of them, dude. Like
First movie left us with such sci-fi blue balls, like the potential,
big time, dude.
The potential is so big, and fuck, they need the fucking liver in part 2, man.
I know, because they search for they search for the Furman literally the entire movie when they get to the Arrakis, and then you finally get to the Furman at the end of the movie, and they're in it for like 5-10 minutes. He fights Jameis, kills Jameis, and then the movie's over.
Yeah,
and then you're just like, waiting for the second movie.
Yeah,
but he did, adapt the first book. Like I saw one book, and I haven't read the book, but as far as adapting, I've heard a lot of mostly great things.
Adapting the book was such a fucking challenge, and I don't think anyone but Denis had the vision that we really, really needed to get here.
Oh yeah, I mean it was called it was dubbed unfilmable, forever.
Yeah, I know one of the first adaptions in the 70s was from surrealist Jodorowsky, and he tried getting it off the ground. There's actually a whole documentary that I definitely recommend you check out, Jay, that's about the concept of the first Dune film. And it was a lot more psychedelic, let's just say that. And he dived into a lot of the really strange sci-fi details that the book kind of just throws out there. I mean, the book, it's not very meticulous in the way it gives you details. Like, what I mean is it kind of just throws out a lot of theories and doesn't explain them. Like, it just almost passively says it as if it's common knowledge, and it can make consuming the book kind of hard sometimes. And I mean, now with the internet, it's obviously you can just have a phone Google on, but you can just Google or look up someone explaining something, and there's a lot of great visuals and art for it now. But I can imagine reading in this when it first came out, it was a lot more like,
what is this?
what the fuck, and Denis smartfully avoided a lot of those weird details that in the David Lynch one from the 80s
does not, from what I hear.
He includes some very odd parts of the book, and it's like, for instance, Ayla in the book, the Jessica's kid, Paul's sister, is like actually a little toddler, and
every time you explain this to me, I just can't picture it.
And in David Lynch's because she's like blessed by the holy water. She gains all this knowledge, and she is born fully developed. Basically, she's another Reverend Mother, but as a baby. And
see, I just picture Boss Baby with Anya Taylor-Joy's face, and it's
you should look up the David Lynch actress, and you can have another face to try to pair it with. But yeah, man, Dune is it's such a wild story, and it's a really great book. I definitely, if you like reading, or even if you just really enjoyed this movie,
I do want to read it one day.
It's fun.
I do.
You have
it the hard copy, right?
I do. Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to borrow that from you because I really do want to read the book.
So again, Denis did such a fucking great job, man, with making this consumable, because it's really not a very easily consumed book, and he made it happen. And I think that we actually talked about this mid rewatch, where we don't fully agree with the casting of Zendaya,
right?
And we think that if we had someone that wasn't as big a name, it would have been easier to latch on to, like, the struggle going on there.
I think so too, man. I really do, and it sucks because it has nothing to do with me liking Zendaya, because I love Challengers. I think she was great in that. I think she was just miscast, man. Every time she, like I said during the rewatch, every time she talks, especially when she's emoting anger and she's going off on somebody, it really just feels like someone from Jersey is going off. It doesn't feel like somebody from Arrakis is actually talking right now. As well, I just completely don't feel like that way with Javier Bardem, or really even her friend in the movie. That I don't know the character's name, but her friend in the movie felt way more Furman to me than Zendaya.
But it's because it's Zendaya.
It's because it's Zendaya, and she's not bad in the movie. Don't take it as we're saying she's bad in the movie. She's a good actress, but miscast. And
it's hard to separate character from face there. And I think that even paired with Timothée, it's even worse because it's too big. Like their sappy romance scenes, it's just so hard not to think about old Tom Holland, cuckolding in the audience. Just kidding. Love you, Tom.
Timothy's just like, Tom.
But to counter that thought, I also was, like, okay, really, they cast as many big names as they could.
Right.
Because they wanted to get as many people to actually come see this weird sci-fi
I'm so glad that
3-hour movie.
I'm so glad that it worked.
And it worked. It did. The marketing and press for this movie was amazing. Their social media campaign, incredible. I loved all the pre-Dune content we got with Zendaya and Timothée.
And it kicked off the popcorn bucket trend, which has gone full steam ahead.
Why did I not get the popcorn bucket, Jay?
And I didn't think about it either.
Hold on. You got to get the popcorn bucket.
You have to get the popcorn bucket. Here it is. The popcorn bucket. The Dune popcorn bucket, otherwise known as the fleshlight of Dune of Arrakis. Oh, whoever designed this.
Mine has not been used for popcorn or anything.
Any liquid,
nature.
Anything. You sure about that? No.
It might. Oh, maybe a little popcorn. I don't know.
No, this started the entire trend of the popcorn buckets that is still being done to this day. Like, Gladiator had one where it's like
everything's got one.
Everything's got one now, and I love it. It was a big theater experience. We went see it in Dolby Prime. We don't go to, which is an hour drive for us. We don't do that for every movie, but we did it for Dune, and man, we've been just obsessed with this movie like ever since.
Yeah,
I mean, got you to read the book.
Yeah, and it's safe to say we both madly in love with it. And man, there's just so many great moments here.
It is like when we were rewatching it, it's crazy. I kept thinking like, this is my favorite scene. And then I would realize what was about to come. And then I kept doing that.
This is my favorite scene. No, wait.
This is the best scene.
Wait, this is the worm riding scene is already here?
It's like, what? There's still all this heat left?
Yeah.
And it literally is that until the rest of the movie. Like, it's just scene after scene after scene after scene.
Hell yeah, man. We start off with that great monologue, or not monologue, voiceover from the princess. And I love just like you had said right off the start, like, man, this picks up right after the first movie.
I mean, I'm talking right after the first one. Like, they don't say it, but it feels like
it kind of does.
Minutes, hour. Like,
the time skip is, because there is a time skip, but it's like the movie starts, it feels like it starts off right after.
No, the time skip isn't until like when he's already with the Furman.
And we get, pretty much the first like action sequence of
right off
Dune, right? Like, I mean, you said that there wasn't really anything in Dune Part 1 that measured up even to
not
the
on
first
this level. Oh, absolutely not.
Scene of Dune Part 2.
No. As far as action sequence goes, no, because you have the worm encounter, which was great, and then you have a hallway sequence where Duncan fights.
That's a great scene.
It's a great scene, and it's a great death and everything. But it has
it's not like a set piece like.
Nah, it's not a big spectacle set piece like the opening to Dune Part 2.
And you said we even get like you recognize that the score was we got a new piece of the score for that opening sequence as well.
We did. New piece of music from Hans, and it's unfortunate that he won't get nominated. It's been disqualified from the Oscars score.
For that stupid-ass rule.
What
was it again?
So it's 25. You can't, if it's, you can't borrow like 25% of a previous score. And technically, like it hits, like it's 25% of the original Dune score. Because you have the Harkonnen theme, you have the Arrakis theme in there, you have Leaving Caladan track, which Leaving Caladan gets used a lot. Like, and I mean a lot in various ways.
But the music in this movie is almost telling a story if you pay attention to what the tracks are called. I like that we like kind of kept track. Well, I didn't mean to do that, but
kept track
of the track. Fucking shut up. Throughout the movie, and I'm glad you set that up because it really like. It's a really cool thing when you're like aware of the names of the tracks.
Oh yeah.
What it does thematically is slaps.
It does slap. And it plays, it felt like to me, I mean, I didn't I didn't jot it down, but mentally I was like, I feel like it plays every time Paul makes a big power move.
Pretty much.
Like every time he makes a big power move, it plays that track, and I feel like that's just him leaving his life.
There's like 2 or 3 it has in main rotation, I'll say, for sure. And you brought up Leaving Caladan, which was the first one you recognized. and that is when he enters the Fremen camp for the first time.
Yes.
So, I mean, thematically, again, it's like, you know, we're leaving Caladan, we're here. Like,
Leaving
we're
the
actually
world
with
behind.
the Fremen, yeah. And, yeah, it's a great track. I mean, if you have not pulled up the soundtrack of these movies,
You should.
next time you're on a long car ride, slap it on. Oof.
You will not regret it.
Oof. And the music in this movie does, another thing we pointed out really early was that the music does so fucking much for this movie. Because without the soundtrack, this movie would just not be what it is, like, at all.
At all.
It'd be so weird.
And even dating back to the first one, like, and I'm just because it's my favorite track in the whole Dune thing. So leaving Caladan, I'll just stick. The first scene it's originated is when they're actually obviously leaving Caladan, but it's Paul like bending down in front of some water, like grabbing dust, like dirt, and it's just like like this shouldn't be epic at all. Like it's just Paul waiting to like get on a ship, and it's the most epic shit ever. Like, and that's what this fucking music does for Dune. These movies, man.
I hope that's what it manages to do for the show as well. Because again, I really did feel like the music was a good way of keeping.
I will say there is a
pressure.
moment in episode 2 where it does that.
Yeah.
There's. I think so. I think it'll do that for the show.
I wonder if Denis Villeneuve's had any words or tweets about the show. If he's put
I'm not
anything
sure
out there, I'm curious to see his thoughts.
I'm not sure. I know he didn't have anything to do with like writing it or anything. I know that.
No, but they definitely took some of the ideas. I mean, the show definitely feels like. It feels like you're in a Dune.
It does.
Like it definitely feels like it's a part of the same world.
And I feel like if you are watching this and you like, I kind of want to, I want to get into the Dune world, but I don't want to start with, a 5-hour epic, which would be if you would combine the two movies. Like, let's just start with the show. I'll just start with the new show about Dune. I would recommend that.
Wouldn't.
Why I wouldn't. I feel like if you were not
I thought you were gonna actually recommend that.
Oh no. I think you have to be seasoned Dune.
Yeah, it's made for people who watch the movie.
For sure. Oh, absolutely.
Or read the books. I mean,
or read the books.
You have to be familiar with the content for sure. And I mean, okay, so Paul's character, I think, obviously, he's like, the movie's all about this motherfucker.
Do you mean Anakin?
No, Anakin. No. No, but fucking Paul's character, I think, is the most. I don't think this is a very complex movie. I think Denis did a great job of making this movie easily consumable, and the movie basically walks you through the plot. It doesn't hold your hand, but I think the emotions all make sense. I don't think there's a lot of super complex emotions outside of Paul. I think Paul's character provides like a good conversation piece,
right? As
far as where he was at mentally in each part of the movie, and I love that this dude, like this is not, and this is gonna be an anime reference, but he's not a fucking shonen main character. Which means to say he's not a character who is very much an obvious good guy. He is out for revenge immediately.
He says good things. He's when he wants to be. He's a voice of reason. He has like some charisma when he wants to show it. But again, he says all the right things, and he might genuinely feel some of those things, but he wants revenge. He says at the beginning of this movie. That's what he wants.
I believe that halfway through that movie, or not halfway, I guess maybe like an hour into the movie, he doesn't want revenge anymore. Like, he's over it at that point. So again, I think that it's complex in the way that he's constantly changing, like, throughout the movie. Like, his perspective is changing as he develops through the story. Okay, maybe I do have a second critique. I have a second critique for this movie, which is that it does not give the story enough time. Not to say like there's not enough time skips, but maybe that's really the issue. Like, there's not enough time skips. Like, the book progresses over such a long period of time that there's, like, Paul lives in this world for years before this happens. Where in this movie,
I feel like the movie
she stays pregnant. So, this movie could not have it doesn't progress more than 8 months since the end of, maybe even 7 months. We don't know exactly how far she's in her pregnancy. But she's pregnant the whole time with Duke Leto's baby, right?
Because I was going to say that they weren't specific about Like
but
the movie,
the baby changes things.
I didn't think about that.
Which is in why in the books, Ailey is already like a few years old by the time the invasion happens, and so they shorten the time, which makes Paul's character a little strange. But in the movie, the way the movie plays out, it never is like really a problem. Like I'm getting nitpicky here. I'm really like talking about the rating of the film here. Again, I think he did a good job of this adaptation. I think this is the adaptation I wanted. Like I love these movies, right?
Right.
But that could be one thing, that if you really want to break down this film and break down the themes, Paul is really ever changing. He's swaying back and forth. He's pulled between these two different worlds of being, a Fremen and being
while he might have given up the thought of revenge, he never gave up the thought of helping the Fremen win their land. So he never
because he loves the Fremen.
He
fell in love with the desert and Shawnee.
And I believe he's genuine when he does all these things, which gets me really excited to see where his character's headspace at is in Messiah after doing all these things. But I really do think he was so against it is because he knew. I think in the back of his head, he knew that if he kept helping the Fremen and they would just get closer and closer to this goal, he was going to end up having to do this. I really do think that. And his last vision before he goes even take the elixir told him like pretty much everything like he needed to do.
Right. So, yeah, we can break down Paul slowly, a little bit slower as we walk through the movie, but I feel like there's a few key points. And I've pinpointed them in the notes, like where I think the changes happen, like where the flips, occur in the movie. But the one line I wanted to point out when they get to the Fremen camp is Jessica's like, "Well, your father didn't believe in revenge."
I love that line.
It's like, well,
I do.
I do. It's like, that's
a great line.
I like that. That's the perspective we get. Again, we've already said how this movie's or Dune is a brutal world,
right?
Just there's no, it's not white and gray or it's not white and black. Like everything is, there's a lot of color and contrast to these characters.
And he even says in this scene, the same scene, he says, "I must sway the non-believers."
Yeah, he knows he wants to play the role of Messiah,
right?
To get revenge. That's where he's at, right?
So he can get the Emperor, yeah.
Before he falls in love with everything and completely changes him. So this is around the same point where Jessica, we've already said, she becomes like the Reverend Mother and deals with all this fucking shit and pain. And Jessica,
she killed, dude. Rebecca's so good in this scene, bro.
I know, man. I love that freaking
so
scene.
Good in this scene.
It's another one of those scenes where if you took away the music, it'd be a really weird scene, man.
Something from Suspiria.
It'd be a really weird fucking Suspiria. Luca Guadagnino on the track.
Oh, man.
And around the same time, we just gotta again say that Javier Bardem is Stilgar, like just meme-worthy content that has taken the internet by storm.
Really, really, really though.
Give this man an Oscar for what he's done.
You can't help but smile every time he goes like, "It is written," or when he says "Misa Galib." Like every time he says it, you can't help but like smile inside.
Yeah, and so after that, we get the next big action sequence, which was another scene that we both were like, no, this is the best scene.
This was the first of those of many scenes where we're just like, this is the best scene.
And it's the scene, if you've seen the movie, when they have the bazooka and they got to take down the chopper, and it's just.
Do you remember my reaction?
Magical.
We've now seen Dune 2-3 times together. Do you remember my reaction to the first time we saw it in Dolby?
Yes.
When she turned around and shot him with that bazooka, I squealed.
You squealed.
I squealed, and it was amazing.
It was adorable, Jordan. It was adorable.
Oh man.
And this basically solidifies Paul as one of the team, right? He's following that path of like becoming their Messiah, right? He gets his Fatakin name. He even gives them a little like hype speech while they're all in the tent about how like. He's known the Harkonnen for like he's been their enemies for centuries. He knows everything about them. He's like, we gotta unite and fight these motherfuckers. And Stilgar's eating that shit up.
Oh yeah.
Even Shawnee's like about it. Like she is okay with him being a leader in their war. She's not okay with him being the Messiah, right? And I think that's again kind of Paul follows that same thought process where he wants to lead them in battle and keep going north, but he doesn't want to have to go south to go north. He doesn't want to go south and become the Messiah, because he believes if he goes that way, those visions that he has throughout the movie is going to come true. And he believes he's going to have this, millions of people will die of starvation and like all this dark fucking crazy shit.
All because of him, because of his followers.
Because of his followers and the war that he starts. Right.
And Gurney was like, because you lose control. And then he's like, nah, because I gain it. Like he knows what it was going to happen.
And when he first has that dream in this movie, we're about 50 minutes in. And so 50 minutes in, we've already talked about all this really hype shit, right? And then we get at the hour mark, the worm riding scene.
That's crazy that that's the 1 hour mark.
Which dude, the first hour of this movie it just sells you so hard. Man. Like the rest of the movie could have sucked. It didn't even matter. Like, it doesn't suck.
For sure.
But I mean, the first hour was just such a high point that it naturally kind of had us to slump down. And I feel like after the worm riding scene, which, I mean, what can we really say about this scene that
just
hasn't already been said?
It's just amazing, dude. And like all I'll add to it is like it's one of the best. I mean, I think I said that about a lot of sequences this year, but like Timothée was getting slammed through shit. Yeah. Or his stunt double was, at least. Somebody was getting slammed through shit. And I just, bravo to everybody involved.
The filmmaking of that sequence, I love. Okay, we got to actually just sit down and watch the behind the scenes for this movie.
We do.
Because what I've seen of that scene is, dude, Denis just has a big smile on his face when he's talking about them making that scene. Like, the amount of passion that went into creating this is phenomenal.
And dude, everything from whenever he gets, like, when he starts to stand up and then the music just it's like you in church, bro.
Whoever edited the sound in this movie was just on the piano, bro.
Just on fire. Hans Zimmer, bro.
They were back there cooking, dude.
He was cooking. Fuck. He was cooking.
Oh, my gosh. It's so good.
It's so good, man. It is like... That's the thing. I think I finally got it. It might not, because of story and stuff, might not be my favorite scene, but I think visually and from a filmmaking, it's one of the most impressive filmmaking scenes I've been used.
Yes.
Like, it's incredible.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. I don't know why I'm doing this accent. So we touch base with old Baron Boy. He's not very happy. For the first hour, it's really all Paul. It's all Paul and Jessica. Yeah. We don't even see the Baron until after the like about that hour mark, right before he rides.
Yeah, and he fusses at Raban, which is this series' punching bag, unfortunately.
So this is basically the point of the movie. Basically, after that first hour, where Paul has changed, he no longer is like really looking for revenge. At least not on the forefront. Not enough to become the Messiah, right? Like, he wants revenge, but he wants to do it with the Fatican and, fight the war and not give in to this role that his mom and now even sister is bitching at him. Alia in the womb is bitching at him.
And even though...
about not becoming the Messiah.
The more they do... the more he does with them, the more the legend of the Messiah is growing. Because, his name is getting spread throughout the desert.
And because of Jessica. And because she's the Reverend Mother now, and she's spreading, this prophecy, which, if we go back to Dune Prophecy again, which I'm so glad I watched the first episode of this, we can, relate. Because these movies these stories go hand in hand, because Dune is the fulfillment of all these years of prophecy. It
starts in prophecy, yeah.
And it does start in actual prophecy, but it's prophecy from thousands of years ago. And we don't even know where those prophecies originated. All we know is that whatever shit, the Reverend Mother who dies at the beginning of Dune Prophecy.
Yep, I forgot.
It's her like old mutterings. Like it's like the with the Targaryen and Game of Thrones passing down the legends of the winner. It's like that basically. So we check back in with the princess and the emperor, basically discussing the state of everything that's going on with Arrakis, because the Muad'Dib, our boy Paul, is wrecking shit up. There's rumors going around the galaxy they do,
looking menacing.
And Jessica mutters like, what if Paul is still alive, right? And that fucking old bitch, man, she just gaslights the fuck out of her and is just like, we don't talk about that, which even she knows for sure what's going on. Like,
oh yeah, she was just hoping.
Won't clue her in.
No,
at that point at least. But I feel like the Bene Gesserit just always like they have spies everywhere, so they know what's going on.
At all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're introduced to Fade fucking Rotha, played by a crazy evil Austin Butler, who just went all out for this role.
You could tell he was having fun, and he was really good.
He was really good.
Oh, yeah.
He went the full shave, brother. No hair, no eyebrows, just looking like an egg.
Not talking like Elvis, for once. I haven't seen him in that movie, but
I think his Elvis accent was better than his Harkonnen accent. I feel like he tried to do his voice a little too deep, I think. Like he was like Batman up in this movie.
You know what? A lot of people are like he's trying to imitate his dad's Stellan Skarsgård's character, the Baron.
Yeah,
he's like,
or his uncle.
Yeah, you're right. His uncle.
I definitely think he is trying to do that, and maybe that's just what the Harkonnen men do. Maybe they make themselves sound scary on purpose. I don't fucking know. All I know is this black and white fight scene we get is epic.
It sure fucking is.
And I love the Harkonnen soundtrack. The score hits so hard. I'm all about the black and white. I thought it was a great, because there's a big tone switch in the movie at this point, right? Going into all this other development, right? We kind of really focus up on the Bene Gesserit plan. And the reason we're focusing on Fade Rother is because he is another
prospect, as they call him,
for the seat of the Hazarak or whatever, the Hazarak. So the Bene Gesserit are doing their thing, securing bloodlines and whatnot, just going around and seducing and basically just manipulating and gaslighting the fuck out of.
Doing what they've been doing for thousands of years.
The men. Yeah, the men are at just,
they're at
women rule the world.
I was about to say they really do though, and
they really rule the world in this story.
Because even as we're watching it, and that Lady Margaret is Margot doing her seductive thing. Even we were just like, yes, ma'am. Like we were ready to
played by the alluring Lee Sado. I think I'm probably saying that wrong. She's incredible. If you are a gamer, Death Stranding, she's a main character in that.
That's cool because she's been in. So she is in a couple of 007 movies.
She has a Bond girl face for sure.
She's in the last two, I think, and then she was in The Blue Is Warm as Color, which I have not seen.
Damn.
But that got a lot of attention when
that
movie came out.
Yeah, that was her. I think she had short hair in that movie, and it was a different color. Possibly.
It looks like. I mean, it looks like she had blue hair in that movie.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, I hear it's great.
It's like a long time ago though. And then after this, we get the part where we reveal that Gurney, he's found. He's a smuggler. Paul happens to run into him. All right, Denis. No, I'm just kidding. And Gurney, bro, Gurney don't give a fuck. He's just like, bro, you're alive. Like, where's your army? What are you doing? Like, you're the Duke of fucking Arrakis. Like
your dad would not be happy. Yeah.
The Gurney just wants that fight, bro. He's got that fire in him. He's like, your path leads to war. You know that. What will you do when you feel its breath upon your neck? Bro, Gurney's spitting out these lines, bro. Anytime he speaks, man, he's just giving poetry. Bro. Dude,
and even in the first movie, when they're trained, when they're sparring, and he's like him and Gurney and Paul's like, what if I don't feel like it today? And then he throws something at Paul, and then he's just like, you fight when the fight. He's like, you fight when it's necessary. When the need arises. And so he's like, he carries that.
Yeah,
Brolin carries that fire with Gurney through both movies, and it's cool to watch his character back to back.
Yeah,
he never loses that.
And then after that, Gurney takes Paul to see the family atomics. Basically, rich people just got them nukes, just chilling. And then Fade Rother shows up to Arrakis and starts blowing shit up. So this is about 40 minutes of the movie that I think would be its weakest point. And I think it's because we get all these crazy cinematic set pieces, and then after the Fade Rotha fight, it kind of is just like smaller scenes back to back for 40 minutes, and there's not a huge amount of real development in the plot of Paul and getting revenge. And it's more about all the side pieces.
It feels like it's catching up with the side cast.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a movie writer. It's great. They did amazing stuff with this. I don't know how they could have made that more consumable. I don't know. I'm just saying, if they could have worked on something, maybe that part. Maybe, for me, even like give the movie an extra 30 minutes. Like I don't give a fuck.
I don't care.
I'll watch it 3.5. I'll watch a 4-hour Dune Part 2. Like throw some extra meatier scenes in there and just like make those parts stand out a little more. Like I'm not asking for less. I'm asking for more. I think more would have done more here.
No, yeah, for sure.
More time with Gurney. Maybe even more time with Paul just being a Fremen, with like having scenes with Stilgar.
I would have definitely taken more scenes, like whenever he's actually getting established. I would have definitely taken more scenes with him and
because we don't really touch up with Paul much at all through these these scenes.
No, Paul's gone for a good while, and then whenever they come back, it's pretty much he has to go
there,
to the south.
It's him and Gurney,
right.
But after Fade does show up and blow shit up, it kind of like, again, we get that tone shift. We're going into the final hour of this film, like,
and you feel it.
It's war, baby.
Oh yeah,
Vietnam. Oh, yeah. The Vietnam Apocalypse Now music starts playing in the background, and trees are blowing.
The Emperor has been summoned.
Yes.
And everything.
So let's see. Where's Paul at this point? Paul is like, because it was a big deal. Like Fade Rother blew up one of their
their
sieges, which is where they had stored all that water. Like, so they basically lost like generations of development and growing their holy water, which is like the water from all the dead bodies of their fallen.
And they realized very quickly, like, I mean, Gurney says it, they're coming back to take more of y'all sieges. So like, we can't just stay here.
Yeah. And so Paul kind of just touches some grass, but no grass. He touches some sand here, and
it's like, speak to me.
The spice speaks to him and shows him that he needs to go fucking drink some worm piss, basically.
He needs to go drink some worm piss.
All I gotta do, bro, drink a little worm piss.
Right, and I think Chalamet is really underrated in this scene, because I like the convey that he like what he emotes with his face. I think you can see the process of his brain
turning.
The cogs turning, and he's like, I really do have to go.
Yeah,
this is the only way. Like, I really do have to go do this.
I think it kind of awoken his desire for revenge, mixed with now he wants revenge for the Fremen and for his family. Like, and it's like, the way to succeed here is going south, but he knows what that means.
Right.
And I think that by touching that spice, by getting that good little high kick there, it made him feel a little more confident, because it kind of whispered in his ear, like, maybe you're not seeing the whole picture here. Because it said, I think I have the exact line here. It says, these are only fragments, referring to his visions, right? You cannot see the future without seeing the past, right? So great little line there from an unnamed character, aka the spice.
The spice.
The gins.
The gins.
Don't listen to the gins.
No, but seriously, don't listen to them.
But he did. He listened to them, and they sent him on the warpath, And I wrote down a few great quotes here. And there was another little scene they sprinkle in here where Fade kills who was Shawnee's like friend throughout the movie, and he's like, "You killed 9 of my men with one single blade." Yeah, it's like,
that's a great scene.
Yeah, like, and I think that goes to show like the power of a Fremen to a Harkonnen, right? 1 to 9 is the fucking ratio between a good warrior and a Harkonnen warrior. I
mean, it is definitely, these two movies definitely make it very known that these Fremen are not to be like fucked with.
Like when there's a Dune multiplayer like MMO coming out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it looks really great, and I'm like, man, you gotta be playing Fremen. Like, I'm not sure if you can choose your class, but obviously, everyone's picking Fremen because
I want to ride the fucking sandworms.
OP as mother,
right?
Like, dude. They're just so crazy strong.
They are, which is why Leto Atreides had the brilliant mind of forging their lives together. He wanted to be in alliance with them. Yeah.
And Paul at this point, I'll say this is a courageous little brave soul, man. Because as soon as he has his mind made up, he walks right in that temple, and just chugs that shit.
Absolutely. He's just like, I've seen the way. I've seen the path.
Yeah, just chugs that shit. And that's another great scene with, him just going through all his whatever you want to call that. This psychedelic experience. Yeah, going through all the past and the future, and just seeing everything and becoming a wizard in his own
and
right.
so like cold towards Chani because he knows like she'll come around. I've seen it. Like he says that, so he's just like, I'm not even gonna comfort her right now. I'm not even gonna do anything.
Yeah, he emerges from this trip a cold motherfucker.
Sure does.
He no longer gives fucks.
No.
And I mean, he hears or he reveals some dark truth, right? He finds out he's a Harkonnen, and that's like so fucked, you know?
It's fucked, and he has a great line. I was trying to remember as we were watching it. He was like, "We're Harkonnen, so we're gonna finish this."
Oh, he said,
like Harkonnens.
That's how we will survive, like Harkonnens.
Like Harkonnens,
yeah.
like oof.
By being
great
Harkonnens.
line. By being Harkonnens,
yeah.
Great line.
He joins the dark side, essentially, right? If you're relating this to, I mean, Dune is really just like the adult Star Wars on drugs, you know, like.
For
Star
for
Wars
sure.
on LSD.
It's definitely him and Anakin have. That's why I chose him. They have so many parallels, but their downfall.
That's so true. So so you say downfall. So you really think that Paul chooses to go down the dark path?
Oh yeah, like I think this
I'm
is
semi joking about saying the dark side, but you think like he goes like Walter White on us here.
I do, and I think I'm taking this as a cautionary tale rather than a hero's journey. Like like I definitely don't think unless Denis does some stuff with Messiah that I'm just not expecting, but I think this has been telling us like Paul is, I think there was a reason why this road was hard for him to get to this point, because he knows he's about to descend into madness, essentially. Like not madness, but definitely does think he's going to do some very fucked up things.
I don't necessarily think it's going to be fucked up things. I think that the consequences of what he does will be fucked up. But it's just like, again, it's not black or white. Like to accomplish his goal, he's willing to potentially walk into this future. But maybe he believes he can, accomplish his goals without creating those visions. Like when he comes out of that trip, he's like, I see the path. Like it's this narrow path. Like maybe he knows of, he wants to accomplish the way to do this correctly. I don't necessarily ever think that Paul is an evil person or he's doing evil things. I think that if anything, he is doing things that people in this world have done forever, like going to war and doing all the shit it's just like the way of the big families. It's what they do, they fight.
For sure. And that's why I love how you have character like Chani or just characters who don't really believe the prophecy, because like at least it might confirm it later in I have not read the Dune books. I have no idea. I'm just take it as like Denis never going to give us a like I say Denis, the authors of Dune, and it may be a definitive answer if this prophecy is real or not, or just some bullshit Bene Gesserit propaganda. And I just put myself in kind of both shoes. It's like if it's not true and the people who perceive it not to be true, it's very dark and damning, because he just kind of comes in and uses that to take over this group, entire, millions of people risking their lives and causing bloodshed throughout this. Like I think I can see why Paul would be looked as a villain, even though I don't think he's necessarily evil.
I have not read Messiah, but I do kind of know like the general world lore of what's like where Paul's at in Messiah, because I believe it is a pretty big time skip from the end of
that would make sense
Dune to where Messiah starts, because the book ends a little bit more definitively than the movie. I'll say that as well, without giving away any spoilers. But I don't think it's black and white. I think you can look at it as many different ways. Like a lot of people came out of this movie thinking Paul was a hero, and I think that's why I love Paul's character and the complexity of that. But I think anyone really paying attention knew that this is his choice, his path, but it's not necessarily the right or wrong way. It's just how it is.
The thing is, he delivers these great, in the war room where he delivers that Chalamet, he's so good. Yeah. Like you want to be like, Paul's on his shit, and I'm like, you don't want Paul to be on his shit. And it does add to the complexity of Paul. Like you want to root for him, and then you think about everything that he's like, what his actions are causing, and then or what he's gonna cause, and then you're like, oh shit, I don't know if I should, but I want to. It's like
we haven't drank the worm piss, Jay. We don't know. He knows. We don't know.
We did not drink the worm piss.
Right. It's just what it is.
No, that's why I wouldn't say, because you said Walter. That's why I wouldn't say it's completely Walter White, because personally, by season 5, I was fuck Walter White.
No, that's a little.
I was team
example, but
fuck this dude. Like I wanted him to die, and so Paul might get there. He might get there, but I don't think he's there yet.
Man, but we get that amazing 1v1 scene. This Timothée versus Austin Butler, and
it's so I feel like for the first time in the movie, it goes silent.
Yeah,
like for the very first time, as soon as he says, "May thy knife chip and shatter," as soon as he says that, like Austin Butler's character says that, the sound is just gone, and it's just them fighting.
Yeah, and they feel like they really learned how to fight for that scene.
Oh, you could tell they trained.
It was intense, It was really intense. It didn't feel staged at all.
No, and I like it wouldn't surprise me if that was like Timothée and Butler both. Like no stunt doubles. Like they actually like filmed that. Definitely looked that way. It didn't look like a stunt double.
And another big decision this movie took to depart from the book, and something I see people critique on it a lot, is Shani's character. Because in the book, Shani isn't really defiant much at all to Paul being the Messiah. The movie kind of paints it to where like the North people don't believe and the South people do, right. But there wasn't as much of a conflict there, and I think they kind of really bank on that to give Shani some character in this story, and then like so much so that she gets like the closing shot of the movie.
She does.
So yeah, I'm really thinking maybe with the third movie that if he's gonna follow up this movie and like flesh out that storyline, it might be original content, or maybe there's another book I don't know about that sums up that direct period a little closer. Because I haven't read Messiah. I know a little bit about it. I'm really curious to see what we get next from that story, if we ever do get a third movie. If we don't, honestly, I'm okay with it. I think Dune and 2 tells
it's official.
It's official?
Yeah, like it's officially greenlit. I think it starts filming in like the end of 2025 or something like that.
Okay.
Or 2026.
Oh fuck, I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I really need to read Messiah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think he might be doing like a smaller movie in between. Maybe.
Okay.
Possibly, or like he's either working on a limited series or something, and then they're gonna film Dune.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, man, this movie's great. It's definitely a 5 stars for me. I think I gave
me too.
First one a 4.5.
Me too.
And as a whole series, I'd probably give it like a good 9.2 or 9.3 out of 10. Like it's about as high as it gets.
It really is.
I really think this is like, since Lord of the Rings. That sounds like, I just fucking love Lord of the Rings so much. So that's like such a big deal for me. Like, this is like, I think the next best big movie. Like, honestly, like a movie that like is such a sprawling story, has, obviously based on such great literature, and just, it makes me feel so many things, man.
It's definitely up there with Return of the King, well, really all of Lord of the Rings, where it's just from filmmaking to score to cinematography to performance from a big ensemble cast to every check mark you can possibly hit. It's one of the most impressive feats in filmmaking ever.
Like Denis goes out of his way to use practical effects for things. Like even parts of the worm were practical.
And I love how when people get out of sand, you feel that shit. Like whenever they it's just weird how he does it. Like it really makes you feel like you're really right there on Arrakis.
I feel like you really are riding a worm.
Dude.
But like, yeah. So I guess what I'm really trying to say, it's related to Lord of the Rings. It's like it's one of the big, great adaptations of our time. Yeah. And it brought a extremely important piece of literature to life in a way that we never thought we'd ever get. And I'm just so glad. I'm so glad we got. The Denis fucking did this, man. I know like one was a big swing, like really, and like looking at one compared to 2, I wonder how he felt releasing 1, knowing in his mind what 2 would look like, and just being like, I hope people buy into the shit because they don't know what the fuck they've got coming next.
Dude, no. So that quote I said earlier about him playing with filmmaking, that came from after the first one. Because after the first one, he was like, I'm proud of this movie. He said, but this movie is all set up for Dune 2. He's like, this is
really
said,
is all set up.
That's when he said, he's like, now part 1, I set up the story. I put the chess pieces in place. And he's like, but for part 2, I get to play with filmmaking. Mm-hmm. And I remember hearing that, like, and I'm going, I can't fuck. And yeah, it was worth the wait in every way, shape, or form.
And I feel like they really like perfected the score for part 1. Like they did everything right and made this movie that otherwise is relatively boring for a 2.5-hour movie. And is mostly dialogue and mostly setup. Like they did so much to create and ground this world. They did. And 2 just is the payoff. I think for this movie as a sequel is the best payoff we might ever get from a sequel to a movie.
Because normally sequels aren't as good as the original. It's hard to do. With
there are a few examples of great sequels, but other than that, yeah. I mean, normally the original, like let's say Die Hard 2 is not as good as Die Hard 1, but then Die Hard 3 is my favorite. That's one example. Alien 1 to Alien 2.
I mean, The Dark Knight, Batman, Batman Begins.
As an amazing sequel, yeah. Obviously, Dark Knight, Godfather Part 2.
Godfather Part 2. Yeah. You can go. I mean, I'm thinking animated right now for some reason, and I'm thinking of How to Train Your Dragon 2 to 1.
I love it. Yeah.
Like I don't know why that's where my mind went.
Star Wars Part 2.
Empire Strikes Back. Dude, no. I'm thinking Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. The actual sequel. No, so there's examples, but being that we can rattle off those few, I think is telling of how much the originals normally are just outshine the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, but Dune 2, it's almost unfair. Like they should have been just they should be viewed as one big movie.
Which I think most people do. I do. Like
who is going to just say, "Oh, I just want to watch Dune Part 1 today." Like no one's ever going to say that in the future ever.
No.
You're going to watch part 2.
No, because like I told you, I'm watching Dune Part 1 for like the 7th time the other day, and in prep for today of watching 2 in the podcast.
Yeah.
And like an hour in, I love it. I love Dune 1. I really do. Daddy Isaac, I love me some Oscar Isaac. But I was like, I can't wait to watch part 2. Yeah. Like halfway in, I was like, I can't wait to just watch part 2.
I know there's a lot of fanatics like us out there, and people listening to this podcast probably are just as fanatic about this movie as we are.
Oh yeah,
I feel like they agree with this. Like you got to have a day, just throw on Dune.
Just throw on Dune, man. Enjoy that 5 hours of epic medieval science fiction. And like, what's cool, the first one doesn't give enough. It sets up the revenge plot so well because Leto is so underrated as a character and a dad. Like he's so likable in that movie. Oscar Isaac as Leto. Like he really, really is. His first scene with Paul got me when Paul was like expressing doubts of he doesn't want to, lead or anything. He's not a leader, or like he's asking questions. What if I don't? This isn't for me. And he basically tells him, he went through the same thing, and he found his way to his ring. Mm-hmm. But I love how he tells him. He said, "But even if you don't find your way, you'll be what I always needed you to be." Yeah, my son. And God, it's so.
Daddy Isaac, shut up.
Shut up, Daddy Isaac. Like, it's just, I love it, man. Like,
Yeah. Just great writing, great performances, and just a fucking amazing movie, man.
Absolutely, man.
And I'm really hoping that Prophecy heats up.
I do, too. I'm going to watch episode 3 before Sunday, for sure.
I'm curious, anyone who's listening, what you guys think about it?
Yeah, if y'all have watched Dune Prophecy, like, what did you think about it? And if you've watched episode 3, because that's the one I'm not behind on, what did you think about it?
Hop in the comments. We need to put together an email for this so that people listening to the podcast on Spotify can just email us questions.
That is true.
Or a number or something. I don't know how we'll figure that out. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the rest of Prophecy. I mean, if I had time, I would have just watched all 3 episodes today before this.
Right.
But did not have time, alas.
The time, unfortunately, is
the holidays, which is exciting because we've got so many great fucking movies coming out.
We do, man, and I'm glad you brought that up. Next week, War of the Rohirrim, anime, Lord of the Rings.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings,
Can't fucking wait. I can't wait for this. I don't think it's gonna do that well at the box office.
Probably not. It's an anime Lord of the Rings movie from a Japanese director
that they're not promoting straight up.
Nah,
like I went to see Wicked the other day and I didn't see a trailer for it.
I am so hyped for this movie, and I love that it's actually anime because my dad can't stand it.
I love it.
And I don't watch anime. Okay, first off, you watched Attack on Titan and you loved it, Dad. So you can enjoy
you do
anime.
like anime.
Yeah, you like anime. Stop fighting it. But I mean, now, okay, anime does get weird. I don't think this is gonna be getting weird like anime.
No, so like just a little side. So Don to Don, like I wouldn't introduce Don to Don to like someone who's like never watched. That's a seasoned anime event. Like you have to have watched it for years.
I feel like there's an anime you can connect to anyone who's like really loves a certain movie. Like my family loves Lord of the Rings. I would recommend Faerun. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you guys listening want to get into anime, let us know what you like, and we will give you an anime to relate to. We just
recommend the anime to relate to.
I feel like we've got a good bit of recommendations.
We've been watching for a while now since for me since the pandemic. I know like a hardcore anime like OG nerds is like, you started watching anime during the pandemic.
The new wave.
Yeah, I like the medium that you love is growing in popularity. You should fucking be thankful.
Okay, those are just Twitter heads, Jordan. Those aren't real people, bro. Don't worry about them.
They're so loud though, bro.
They're so loud. They're fake. They're birds. You know.
They really are, dude. Twitter, you be having the wildest takes ever, and they say that shit with conviction. Like I swear, I see the dumbest takes on that platform.
I've been really into anime lately, which is a reason for me not having caught up to Dune Prophecy at this point. I've been watching a lot of content, which I'm happy with. You know, I've been slowing down for the holidays, Jay. Really?
No, yeah, same. I mean, I had COVID I had COVID last week, so that definitely helped me watch all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
and ended up just settling on a lot of rewatches. I rewatched the Spider-Verse
When you're
movies.
feeling good, man, it's all about those comfort.
It's those comfort man.
Food, comfort shows.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But no, I'm looking forward to watching Dune Prophecy, and I mean, we got War of the Rohirrim, we got Nosferatu on Christmas Day. Which, have you seen the reviews of that?
No, but I'm sure they're amazing.
They're better than you think.
Yeah.
So I watched 20 seconds of a review of a girl that I follow named Stoops on shout out. Not gonna watch this, but I follow you on TikTok and I like your page. So I watched 20 seconds of her video on TikTok, and she said, "As excited as you are for Nosferatu, it ain't enough." Oh, and when she said that, I was like, "I'm good." I scrolled. I don't need to know.
I think it's gonna kill, bro. I think it's going to. Well, first off, it has a lot to compete with. It is a December Christmas movie, so versus like the Bob Dylan and versus some other stuff too. So I'm not sure how it's going to fare box office wise, but
I think it's going to find an audience. I really do.
I think it's going to hit. What I'm trying to say is I think it's going to hit the mainstream horror.
I think so too.
And then it's also going to have all the A24 people. It's going to have just people who just like classic horror might be interested. It's a big name too. Nosferatu's been around. Like
it's a classic monster.
There's gonna be a lot of old people going to see this movie and probably get the shit scared out of him, because it looks like he's doing new age horror on a classic horror story, but it's Eggers, so it's still going to be like dialect heavy. Maybe it's just the fucking trailers, bro. The marketing are just so good on this movie, man. They're really selling it to everybody. And I love that because I know when we go to see it, it's going to be hard-ass English. It's going to be weird. It's going to have some weird shit. It's going to be heavy. It's probably going to be slow, and it's probably not going to be like a jump scare type heavy movie.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's going to be more on the same page as Hereditary.
Same.
So, yeah, I hope the best for it. I love Eggers movies.
I'm
so fucking excited.
I think it's going to do well, man. I think it's going to be his highest grossing movie because it's coming out at the second most busiest time for movies. Summer's first, December's second, by far too. Like it's not close. Yeah. And it's counter programming because at this time you're gonna have Craven's gonna be out, so that takes care of the the superhero genre crowd. You got War of the Rohirrim, which is gonna hit a bunch of different audiences. You got A Complete Unknown, which is the Bob Dylan, which is gonna hit our
boy Timothée.
And then you have December's only horror movie dropping on Christmas Day, which is Nosferatu, and people go to the theater on Christmas Day. So I think Nosferatu is gonna be. I wouldn't say Like, I'm not going to say 300 million. I think that would be a lot. So, but I think it can get 200 million, 250.
That's
I really
a lot.
do.
That's a fucking lot.
It's a lot, but I think
100 mils a W. That's what I'm going to put my money on.
It would be
100 mils a W.
For the budget, it would be a W, but dude, I think it's going to have legs, man. I really do.
Wasn't like Spider-Man 2 opening weekend was only like 129 mil or something?
What you talking about for Across the Spider-Verse?
No, like OG Spider-Man 2.
Oh no, dude, OG Spider-Man 2
opening
opened
day.
To like the top of my head across 100 million.
Yeah, I think it was like 120.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they bring it up in Entourage, funny enough. Because like,
that's funny.
You know about Aquaman in Entourage, right?
Yeah, doesn't James Cameron direct the Aquaman movie?
Yeah, James Cameron is a recurring character in Entourage for like
that's cool in and
4
of
episodes, and like the goal is to like beat Spidey Boy and to open bigger than Spider-Man 2. So they say that, but yeah. So I don't know. I feel like 100 mil is a big W for a horror movie. I'm not sure what the budget is. I can't imagine it being crazy ton.
I'm gonna guess the budget is around
10, 20.
I'll say 20 max.
Just have some big names.
It does. Yeah. It does. But I mean, like,
William
I feel like
Dafoe, we got Lily Rose
Depp, who I hear is great in it.
I'm sure. She from the trailer.
You got Nicholas Hoult in there.
Yeah.
You know, so you got some people.
Yeah.
Some heavy names. I would guess. You know what?
Definitely my biggest hype movie of like the movie I'm hypest for the end of the year. It is my most anticipated for the remainder of the year. It is my most anticipated. I love Lighthouse. I think Lighthouse is amazing. I really like The Northman. I really like The Witch, but Lighthouse this to surpass Lighthouse is going to have to be like a 5-star film, you know, because I think I gave Lighthouse like 4.5, and I stand by that because I could watch that movie any day.
Dan, so that's your favorite from Eggers, The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
I gotta, because that's the only one I'm missing.
What?
I've seen. I know that's the only one I have not seen.
Bro, Pattinson and Dafoe back and forth for like an hour and 45 minutes, just going crazy in a lighthouse. It's fucking amazing.
I cannot find the budget for Nosferatu.
That's all right.
It was bothering me, but I wanted to find it. But
yeah, I think our hype comes across pretty clear here, though. We're ready for this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
If we got time, maybe double feature. But if not, I definitely want to catch A Complete Unknown as well.
I hope if we can schedule it, because it's Christmas Day, so I'm sure we're gonna be tied up that day. Mm-hmm. If we can pencil it in, I'm down for the double feature 100%.
Yeah.
What would you start with?
Oh, as a double feature?
I feel like we got to start with A Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if we watch Nosferatu and are blown away by it, we're not gonna give on Complete Unknown or full, like, we're gonna be still thinking of Nosferatu.
I really don't ever double feature, but
it can be tricky.
Yeah,
it can be tricky.
Like, I didn't even do the Barbie Oppenheimer thing because I was too intimidated to do the double feature there.
I ultimately didn't do it either because we canceled that Barbie tickets that night.
We did.
So like I ended up not doing the last double feature I did true like at the theater was Hacksaw Ridge and La La Land, which was interesting.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. I cried a lot.
Both are really emotional movies.
I cried a lot that day
for different reasons.
But it was a great double feature.
I've only think I really did one double feature, and it was in a drive-in, and it was Prince of Persia and something. I don't even remember. I fell asleep.
Gyllenhaal, Prince of Persia?
Yeah.
I don't remember that movie at all.
I think I was asleep by the end of that one, so I don't even remember what the second one was. So that's pretty sad.
But I am jealous you got to experience a drive-in theater. I've never had.
Shout out New Jersey. They had, I think we had 2 drive-ins by us that were operable.
They're still around, not around here, but if there ever wasn't one.
The weather's way too unpredictable here.
I know.
You just want to work.
Nah.
It's gross.
But
who wants to sit outside in Louisiana?
If it's no one ever.
For like 9 months of the year, that's a no-go, bro.
Oh, yeah. Even in the 3 months, I still would recommend it because the temperature be changing like every other hour.
Yeah, you can get the flu sitting out there and fucking
really
70 and then 30. It's like, doesn't make any sense, man.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, Jay, we're jabbering on as we always do once we start talking. Thank you so much for coming hanging out.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Watching
Dune. It was fun. It was fun talking about it.
Yeah, and we'll be back next week talking about Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
What you doing with my bucket?
Taking it home with me.
No, it's my bucket.
We have custody of it, and you know this.
Leave it alone, Jay. He's a virgin.
Peace, guys.
Peace.